Good morning. It is June the 8th, and I want to show you some trading that took place yesterday, June the 7th, and I want to focus on a couple of things. I want to talk about the importance of the Chikou moving average in the Ichimoku system, and I want to talk to you at the end of this video about the significance of flat cloud tops or flat cloud bottoms. And that's thanks to a No Doji on Twitter who brought this importance of these flat regions to my attention. First of all, I want to turn off the studies here and just show you the candle patterns for Sohu over 20 days, 1 hour. And I've drawn some fibs from the high here, 97.04, to a pretty good 0 point, which would coincide with these candles here. And I extended it such that by drawing 0 to 100 here, drawing it in the upwards direction, that I would get some downward 127, 138, 160, 162 fibs available to me as well. I've also got some dailies here, which is the blues, and I've also got these greens, which is prior day's high to prior day's low, and I've extended those below as well so that we could get some idea of where any downward action would come in Sohu, because that's what I expected yesterday. Fibs are great. You know, I wouldn't trade without fibs. I think they're great. But when you run into areas in between fibs, large price areas like between 81 and 86, there's not a lot of information. I'd like to have finer information to complement the data of the fibs. And then if I can get the fib to coincide with something else, then I'm just doubly convinced that that's an important price level. And that something else is the Ichimoku system. Now let me turn on studies here and let's put in the Ichimoku clouds back again. We needed to trade, in my opinion, yesterday Sohu on a 1-minute basis. So let's look at yesterday's action on a 1-minute cloud, and let's start with the open. From the open at 9:30, we experienced downward motion from the 73.88 fib line down to the below the 71.88 fib line. We had really no interaction except here with the cloud, telling us that there would be some rejection. That is also a fib level. So the fib and the piercing of the fib and the piercing of the cloud were identical, telling me doubly so now that I've got an important price level. We started to move down. We hit a bottom of this fib level here, and we started to move back up. And as we started to move up, we pierced through the cloud, and we came back up and we pierced the fib, and then we hit the 200 EMA and we started moving down. What was the clouds telling us? On this 1-minute chart, not so much, right? I mean, we just sliced right through the cloud, but let's look 26 periods behind this candle here, and where is the Ichimoku? It's here. And it's telling us, yes, we've pierced the cloud, and are we off to the races and running? Well, we're going to keep an eye on the 200, that's for sure, but I also want to keep an eye on where the Ichimoku is going from here, because it's going to run into the cloud, and it did. It smacked the cloud, and it got stopped by the cloud. Then it got stopped by the fib line, pulled back, came up, was stopped by the fib line again, pulled back, moved up symmetrically with this cloud, and moved down. You're going to say, well, of course the Chikou got stopped by the fib line, because it is no more than a reflection of the midpoint of its candle 26 points ahead, this one. So of course it got stopped. As this candle was playing with the fib, the Chikou, of course, was interacting with the fib. It's just important to look back. Price dropped after rejection of the 200, and the Chikou trailing behind it dropped as well. price turned up. What caused price to turn up? Well, it wasn't the fib line. We're too far away from the fib line. So let's go back to the Chikou. The Chikou is here. And after having trouble with the candle, then moving up and being rejected by the cloud a couple of times, it came down, and then the Chikou started its move up. The candles started their move up. Candles came to the bottom of the cloud. Chikou came to the bottom of the cloud, to the top of the cloud, couldn't quite break, came back down again. Candles played in this consolidation period here in the cloud. Chikou was playing behind it in the cloud. So not only do we have candles in this cloud, we have the trailing Chikou in its own cloud, indicating to us real congestion. It's not until we break the cloud here that we have a potential to move up, but our Chikou is still having difficulty with the 50 moving average and with this pink Ichimoku moving average called the Kijun-sen. Price goes down. Naturally, the Chikou follows it, goes down. Let's fast forward a little bit. Let's move ahead to where we started to get excited about some price activity, where we had price moving cloud down, but we can see 26 periods ahead we've got some flattening, and we probably saw a little bit of this upward turn in our cloud, and we said we've got an opportunity to move up, because looking 26 periods in the future, as the Chikou, as the cloud system will do for us, we can see light at the end of the tunnel. Price did break through the cloud. Is it time to hop on board? Not yet, because 26 periods behind here, we have the Chikou there. And I would be worried about cloud rejection of the Chikou, so I would not be adding here. Chikou pushed down, came up, spent some time with the top of its cloud, and then it broke through. So this was actually the point at which you wanted to get long on Sohu. Sohu then continued its march up, past the fib. The Chikou didn't tell you very much. The candles didn't tell you very much as to why they got rejection. So we've got to change time periods. This was at just before 1:30 yesterday. So let's look at the 5-minute. And at 1:30 on the 5-minute, we can see that we had fib line interaction. We're right in here. Cloud didn't tell us very much. 15-minute. Cloud certainly not telling us very much. We're right around here now, 1:30. We are getting support on the Tenkan-sen, and we're running into the top of the Kijun-sen. So looking at different time frames, we're getting additional information to our fibs as to where rejection can actually take place. Back to the 1-minute chart. Price came down, hit the bottom of the cloud, bounced off the bottom of the cloud, came up into a fib area. The Chikou span, 26 periods behind, is here. It is getting support from the fib line, naturally, because it's representative of these candles. Price moves up, comes down into the cloud, and we finish the day with a move up from here, bouncing off the 127.2 fib from yesterday's high and low. Our Chikou span naturally bounces up with it. Price is going up, hits the clouds, and 26 periods behind, we are getting support on this cloud. That support pushed us up here, pushed the candles up there, ran into more selling, came down to the bottom of the cloud, support on the 50. let's look back at our end of the day. And let's look at our Chikou just to see how we finished off the day. We moved up. Our Chikou was back here. It had just broken through the cloud, came down, found support on the bottom of the cloud while the candles were getting support on the Kijun-sen. Moved up, price moved up, came down, found support on the cloud, and where we open up today is top of the cloud, acting as resistance, and the Chikou span now can either run along the top of these clouds and get support as it moves along the top of the clouds, or it can break down, find support on the 50 and the Tenkan-sen, which are coincidental, or it can come down, find support here, by which time price will be at the bottom of the cloud, and maybe we'll get a bounce here at about 71.70, or we just continue down as we lose support of the cloud. So what I'm saying is that it's important to watch your candles as they interact with the cloud, but it's equally important to look at the Chikou span 26 periods behind and see what kind of resistance it's running into. Anytime you're looking at the cloud system, you have several points of reference. You have the current candle and the cloud. You have an indication of future movement by the cloud plotted 26 periods ahead. And then you can look 26 points behind and see what other drag or lift is going to be provided to your candles by the Chikou span. Now the market right now is opening up pretty poorly. We're down 4 points. You can expect Sohu to be down. In fact, it's off 41 cents. So it's heading in this direction, and the Chikou span is heading in this direction. Let's see if it gets support from this line of candles, or if it comes down and finds any support here before moving back up. But this is telling us that we've got some upward direction, starting to lose momentum, but we've got a flat bottom. Now I'm not going to extend this video by talking about how flat bottoms are formed and why they're important, and I'll do that in the next video. Thanks very much for listening. Hope all of this is helpful. The Chikou system together with the fibs are very, very powerful.